I know our family is struggling with debt right now. If you get married, we can pay off the debt with the wedding contribution from your spouse's family. You're 18 now, old enough to marry. Marry Freddie." In other words, I was being told to marry that overweight man named Freddie. All for money. For a moment, I thought it was utterly unreasonable. But then, I realized I had only two options. Either plunge into a hell of debt by refusing to marry or spend my life with Freddie. As these were the only choices swirling in my head, I remembered something. I was willing to do anything to get out of this house. The story goes back over a decade. My name is Felicity. I grew up being treated terribly by my parents. My father died in a car accident when I was 3. He was a very kind man, but Mom apparently didn't like him very much. I have no memories of being loved by Mom, probably because I resembled my father. Mom remarried just 6 months after my father's death. According to her, she had been involved with my adoptive father even when my father was alive. Mom and my adoptive father, who had betrayed my kind father, treated me horribly. I was treated as if I didn't exist, and my pleas were always ignored. It seemed to get worse after my sister Olivia was born. Mom and my adoptive father adored Olivia. Unlike Olivia, who received all their love, I was always treated as an outcast. They did give me birthday presents every year, but they were small things like pencils or erasers, while Olivia got anything she wanted. Even at Christmas, Santa Claus never came for me. When I was little, I often cried alone, hugging my knees, thinking that Santa didn't come because I was a bad child. During those painful days, something happened. I was 7 years old. On a day when heavy rain was falling due to a hurricane, Olivia got a fever. My parents, who adored Olivia, were in a panic. My adoptive father told me to buy a sports drink for Olivia. Reluctantly, I went out in the pouring rain wearing a raincoat, but my small body struggled against the strong wind and heavy rain. Moreover, our house was in the countryside, and it took an hour to reach the nearest supermarket on my little legs. When I finally reached the supermarket, after great difficulty, I was shocked. I couldn't find the wallet I thought I had brought. I might have dropped it when the wind knocked me down. As I was about to turn back, tears welling in my eyes, I suddenly heard, "Wait a minute!" from my older brother. The high school student-like older brother said, "Are you alone? It's dangerous in this weather," in a kind voice. I burst into tears at his gentle demeanor and explained my situation. I desperately told him about my sister's fever and how my parents had sent me shopping, and the older brother seemed to understand my situation. "You don't need to look for your wallet. I'll help you with the shopping," he said, and he helped me with all my shopping. I had lost my wallet and couldn't pay a single dollar, but my older brother told me not to worry and even gave me the change. He also took me close to home in a taxi, and I felt the kindness of others for the first time in a long time. "Thank you, big brother," I said with all my heart as I got out of the taxi, and my elder brother's gentle smile was very impressive. I, who had spent such a childhood, turned 18. When I was a child, I only felt constrained by being treated differently from my sister. But now, as an 11th grader, my problem is money. Mom and adoptive father were against me going to high school in the first place. Apparently, they thought it was a waste to spend money on me. But I insisted on going to high school, and the condition they gave me was that if I wanted to go to high school and stay at home, I had to put $1,000 into the family every month. The money I earned desperately from part-time jobs was consumed by living expenses. When I became an 11th grader, I had to study for college in addition to my part-time job, and I was very busy. Mom and adoptive father probably won't pay for my college. I spent all my time working and studying to get a scholarship. One day, Olivia, who had become an 8th grader, came home triumphantly and said to our parents, "Listen, listen! I got scouted by the entertainment industry." What Olivia put on the dining table was a business card from an entertainment production company I had never heard of. Mom and adoptive father said, "Olivia is cute after all," and were delighted. "Olivia has a sparkle, so I thought something like this might happen. Keep it up, Olivia. Having a daughter as a celebrity is great. Way to go, Olivia. You're nothing like your big sister." "Well, of course, I am much, much cuter than my big sister." Olivia, raised by parents who had always looked down on me and praised Olivia, compared herself to me at every opportunity. This time, she arrogantly asked, "You think so too, don't you, big sister?" I replied, "Yes," because arguing would undoubtedly lead to trouble. Olivia was supposed to have joined an entertainment industry, but months went by without any contact. The parents, who thought it was strange that they were being charged for lessons and membership fees, found out that the entertainment agency was a fraudulent group and had already disappeared. All that was left for the parents was a debt of $20,000. The parents looked desperate, but I just calmly paid $1,000 to the family and focused on my studies. I won't spare any effort if I can get out of this house. With that in mind, I was working hard at my part-time job and studying. A few weeks later, when I got home, I heard an unfamiliar voice from the living room. Wondering what it was, I was about to go up to my room on the second floor when I heard adoptive father calling me from the living room. Wondering what it was about, I peeked into the living room and found two unfamiliar men besides adoptive father. One was a man of the same age as adoptive father, and the other was a very fat man. As I was surprised by the size of the man sweating in the air-conditioned room, adoptive father introduced the two. "This is Mr. Newell. Say hello." "Oh, nice to meet you." As I hurriedly greeted them, the two men smiled and looked at me. Mr. Newell is a well-known large-scale landowner in this area, known to everyone. Why would such people come to our house? As I was puzzled, adoptive father said something outrageous. "Mr. Newell's son, Freddie, is your fiancé. Be polite." "What?" Startled, I raised my voice, and adoptive father, looking flustered, took me out into the hallway. "What's going on?" I asked adoptive father in a whisper, and he answered in a whisper as well. "You know we're in trouble with debt. If you marry, we can pay off the debt with the wedding contribution from their family. You're 18 now and can marry. Marry Freddie." In other words, I had to marry that fat man Freddie for money. I thought it was utterly unreasonable for a moment, but I realized I had only two choices. Either reject the marriage and plunge into debt hell, or marry and live with Freddie. As those were the only two options swirling in my head, I remembered I was willing to do anything to get out of this house. Are you done talking? What do you think, Felicity? Will you marry our Freddie? Mr. Newell, who had been waiting in the living room, asked me anxiously. I answered with a smile. Yes, gladly. And so I was to marry Freddie. That very day I was told to live at Freddie's house right away and was kicked out of the house. With only my study materials, Freddie asked, "Don't you have any clothes or anything?" But I had never bought cute clothes. "That's all I have," I said. Freddie lowered his eyebrows and said, "I see." Mr. Newell, no, my father-in-law, was a well-known landowner whose name I had heard. But he was a very friendly person. His car drove through a large gate and into a vast estate, and it stopped in front of a solitary house. "This is a separate house I built for Freddie when he got married. But Freddie couldn't find a spouse. I'm glad a wonderful woman like Felicity is marrying him. I live in the main house, so Felicity, you should live here with Freddie." With just a brief explanation, my father-in-law said, "Well, I'll leave it to the young couple," and left Freddie and me behind. Suddenly alone, I was a bit wary of Freddie, but he calmly showed me around the separate house. As he brought me to a spacious room furnished with furniture, saying, "This is your room, Felicity. This inside lock works, and if you're worried, don't hesitate to ask for a key change. I won't lay a finger on you, Felicity. I've told your parents that we'll cover your high school expenses. You should reduce your part-time job if you can. That way, you can study more. If you want to go to college, I'll let you go." I blinked at the unexpectedly good treatment. Freddie even said he had no intention of getting a marriage license, and that we would have a common law marriage, so I could go to another man if I found one I liked. Far exceeding my expectations, I inadvertently asked, what is this marriage for? I feel like I'm the only one benefiting." I wondered if it was rude after I said it, but it would be troublesome if I were asked for something outrageous later. Thinking I should check just in case, I waited for Freddie's words, and he began. "I might be meddling, but..." and then answered, "I thought you might be in trouble, Felicity. Do you remember when you went shopping on the day of the hurricane when you were little? We met then, but do you remember?" I was taken aback. There's no way I wouldn't remember. I still remember the face of the kind older brother from that time. I realized that if older brother gained weight, he might look like this. "Are you the older brother from that time? I'm sorry I didn't recognize you." "It can't be helped since I've gained a lot of weight. Stress from becoming a working adult made me eat too much. But you haven't changed, Felicity. When my dad showed me your picture and asked if I wanted to marry you, I knew right away it was you. Are you still being discriminated against and suffering like your sister?" Just like on the day of the hurricane, Freddie spoke to me kindly, and I nodded. Then Freddie smiled to reassure me. "It's okay now. You don't have to worry about money or being treated badly anymore. You can live freely in this house, okay?" Touched by Freddie's kindness, tears welled up in my eyes. In front of Freddie, who hurriedly handed me a beautiful handkerchief, I cried and cried. And from that day on, Freddie and I started living together. I spent my first ever free time studying. I was so happy to be able to study for college like this. Freddie said he didn't need living expenses, but I decided to contribute only $300 because living for free felt constraining. Since I only had to earn $300 and my allowance, I was able to significantly reduce my part-time job hours. Freddie took the initiative in doing household chores, and when I was doing them, he would kindly say, "You can go study." and take over for me. In the happiest days of my life, Freddie and I gradually grew closer. We spent our days like an ordinary married couple, laughing together while watching variety shows and going out on holidays. A few months later, I was leading a calm life when I received a phone call from my adoptive father. What could he want now, after never worrying about me and leaving me alone all this time? I picked up the phone with a bad feeling. Hello? Felicity, is that you? Mom's in serious trouble. I was taken aback by adoptive father's loud voice as soon as I answered the phone. According to adoptive father, Mom had fallen sick and needed immediate surgery, so he was calling me to ask to transfer $10,000 to a specified account. Mom had neglected me since childhood, but she was still my mom. Facing a life-threatening situation, I couldn't just ignore her. What happened all of a sudden? Which hospital and what kind of illness? When I asked out of concern, adoptive father hesitated, saying, well, it's the hospital, but... I began to feel something was off, as adoptive father suddenly became flustered. He couldn't even name the disease, which was clearly suspicious. You're lying, aren't you? Enough. Don't call me for such nonsense. Wait, okay, I admit it. I lied. The truth is, I had an accident recently, and I'm being billed $10,000. According to adoptive father, he had crashed his car the other day, and the person he hit was a scary guy. He was now being billed $10,000 for repairs and medical expenses, and he claimed he couldn't pay. My irritation with him grew. You're probably lying again. It's true this time. Please, Felicity, ask Freddie to transfer the $10,000. You're all we have left. I snapped at adoptive father's desperate plea. Don't mess with me. I can't believe you called after so long just to ask for money. Neither you nor Mom ever cared about me. Not even once. And now you want me to help you? That's too convenient. No matter what you say, I have no intention of transferring the money. Goodbye. Ignoring adoptive father's plea to wait, I hung up the phone and blocked the numbers of adoptive father, Mom, and Olivia. A few weeks later, as I happened to pass by my family's house, I noticed it was vacant. A gossip-loving neighbor lady approached me, and from her I learned that the story about hitting a scary guy's car was true. According to the neighbor lady, my parents and Olivia had secretly packed their bags and left the house at night. They must have fled and are likely living a hidden life now. Living in fear must be incredibly stifling. Thinking about it, I felt a sense of relief deep in my heart. Meanwhile, I was living happy days. I had completely fallen in love with Freddie. Though Freddie, who was 10 years older than me, was often hesitant about dating me. My persistent confessions led to a decision to start dating once I graduated from high school. Freddie even took time off work to attend my high school graduation ceremony. As he accompanied me in my eating and exercise habits, Freddie slimmed down to his original figure and transformed into a handsome man. My friends were envious when I proudly introduced him as my boyfriend. After my high school graduation, Freddie and I submitted our marriage registration to officially get married. When I said I wanted to marry, Freddie nodded in agreement, so we decided to submit the marriage registration. It would take a little time for the marriage certificate to be issued, but now we were officially a married couple. not just in a common law marriage. On the way home from the city hall, we held hands for the first time. I laughed at Freddie's adorable shyness, and he said, "Now that you're my wife, Felicity, you can't be swayed by any handsome boys you meet in college." I thought I was the only one in love, but it seemed Freddie loved me very much too. I found it so ticklish that I burst into laughter. There's no way that could happen. Out of all the people I've met, Freddie is the most handsome